My name is Darrel Davids Daniel. I'm 10 years old. I was born on October 16, 2011. Darrel is a boy in Makidi School, Kisumu, and I have developed my interest in aviation. I'm in grade 5.
My name is Faith Wendia Tito. I'm a mother of 5 children, 4 biological and 1 adopted. So Darrel was born 16th October 2011, and since his childhood, Darrel has been a bubbly baby, full of life, very confident, hardworking, and he's been a source of inspiration to us.
So I'm called Peter Nyango Daniel. Well, Darrel has been very much interested in aviation issues. I can trace it the time when he was around 3 years old. Yes, so where we used to stay in Migosi, you could see planes flying above the house, and he had a lot of interest. I mean, he wanted to know how the planes fly and what about the people who drive the planes, you know. But then, yeah, so his interests, I can say, goes back to about 3 years, when he was about 3 years ago, years old, yeah.
First, I watch YouTube. There's a channel I follow up. I follow up on Mentor Pilot and Captain Joe, channels like that, where I learn most of my things. Then I have a notebook, and that notebook, in my free time at school, when I don't have anything to do, I've already done my work, I can just write down what I've learned from YouTube.
Used to be very inquisitive. I mean, whenever we are at the airport, you will want to see the pilot and ask some questions. Yes, I do feel that let the kids follow what they want to do in life, what they want to pursue in life. But of course, I believe my role as a parent will be to let them know the professions which are there. And if he finds that that is where his interest is, I normally tell my kids that it's you to choose. If you like to follow the profession of your parent, like for me, I'm a lawyer. If they want to follow that profession, well and good. But not really. I don't want to fashion them to a certain system of profession. But my role is to tell them, I mean, look at this profession. These are the opportunities which are there. But all these things, of course, depend on interest, because if someone doesn't have interest, then no matter how long you take studying that or whipping the kid to follow up that, you won't enjoy doing it. Yes. Ready to learn, you know, that's one good thing with him. He's ready to learn and venturing to new things. Yes, and he's far much ahead of his time, you know, the things is, and I think that is because of his ability to learn and readiness to learn new things and some things that I couldn't even imagine doing at his age.
In a cockpit, it's obvious there are 2 pilots, though in the past there used to be more than 3 people in the cockpit. The 2 pilots, and there used to be a flight engineer. But these days, technology has become advanced, it's not there now. And the pilots, they control like mostly everything in the plane. They can control the temperature, they can control the pressurization of the plane.
He spends most of his time reading documentaries about aviation, and consequently, we had to get an Wi-Fi for him because he spends much of his time on YouTube reading documentaries about aviation. He also reads textbooks. Like I have physics textbook in the house. He reads them. He got them from his cousin in Form 2. But he reads secondary textbooks for physics.
I think the years I should start my pilot training is about at 18 years. Yeah, when I've already learned much of it, than the much I'm expected to know, when I'm already ready to go for flying school. But apart from being a pilot, if I were to choose another career, I would be an engineer. I will be an engineer or an architect, all things involving engineering.
As much as his interest is much in aviation, but he's an all-rounded boy. You know, Darrel will ask you anything with international politics, the national politics, international economy, the world, and you know, he's an all-rounded boy who ready to learn many things.
The far I've traveled using plane is in Mombasa, but the experience is good because my favorite type of flying is long-haul flights. During long-haul flights, the flights are long and you experience much more. It's much fun to be on long-haul flights.
So we are trying to nurture him. As a parent, we are trying to nurture him so that, because this is where his interest is, we are trying to make those sacrifices to let him have opportunities, and more so even to travel, get to travel in a year twice or thrice, you know, using plane. And at the same time, we're also trying to have him get into some clubs that will help him grow in that. Yes, to nurture his interest in that. So we also, what again we are doing, we are trying to encourage him in terms of buying for him some equipment that may be necessary, may be needed for him to expand his knowledge in that area.
Like last year, when we boarded a plane in December, when I went to the cockpit, I asked them, do you use reverse thrust on every landing? When they told me no. Reverse thrust, it's a certain part of a plane that when opened, direct air the opposite way, reduce the speed. Yes, I can fly a plane, but I'll also need a pilot next to me because I'll also need to do some things with some help.
I'm seeing Darrel flying the largest plane in the world. Yes, I'm so much optimistic that he's going to fly the largest plane in the world. I can see that in him.
I have favorite planes. I have the Boeing 747, which is currently the largest plane in the world, though it's being put out of service this year. I like the Boeing 787 and the Boeing 777 because these days airlines are interested in the endurance of the plane, how much it can travel, and they're also interested in saving fuel. You know, with the Boeing 747, it's a big plane, and it's obvious that a big plane needs more fuel. And a smaller plane needs less fuel. And you know, like when we look at the Boeing 787, it's one of the best planes in fuel endurance. So that's why most airlines say we are going to match smaller jets to save. And the Boeing 747 has been in service since the late 1960s. A helicopter and a plane are very much different. For a plane, it's powered by the wings. Well, they both use engines, but how they fly is quite different. But for a helicopter, the rotor, the motor, must have to spin, and it will create a certain energy that will lift it up. But for a plane, it also creates the same amount of energy, but in a different way. And you know, the other good advantage of being a pilot is when you travel to a destination you've not pretty much heard of a lot, you meet new things. Like here in Kenya, we have different language groups, right? Well, you may not know what happens in Europe or North America, South America, in those places. So when you go there, we'll gather enough information so that we'll have the knowledge of what goes on around the world. My favorite plane industry is Boeing, and what I may tell Boeing is continue with their great work so that we may produce better planes in the near future We may even have a plane that might carry more than 500 passengers, which is long, has a good fuel endurance capacity, and can increase or decrease the amount of crashes that have been going on since